If you're a nurse practitioner, then this video is for you. 8 years ago, I walked into my very first day as a brand new grad nurse practitioner with the stethoscope, the same stethoscope around my neck, and a whole lot of fear in my heart. And here's what no one tells you when you become a nurse practitioner. The most important lessons that matter are not the ones in the textbook. They're learned the hard way through tears, through mistakes, through burnout, and breakthrough moments. And after 8 years, I have distilled it down to 8 lessons that I wish I had known since day one. So let me save you some pain. And today I'm going to give you those 8 lessons. Hi, for those of you who are new here, my name is Nicole. I am a rheumatology nurse practitioner, and I help other nurse practitioners meaningfully connect with their patients in 60 seconds and less and find happiness in healthcare. Lesson number 1, you are a lifelong learner. If you think the learning stops after you graduate or after you pass your board exam, you are completely wrong. Your education must constantly stay in motion or else it will get stale. And I'm going to use this physics principle to illustrate this. In fact, Isaac Newton's first law of motion, or known as the law of inertia, states that an object in motion stays in motion, but an object at rest stays at rest. And that object will stay at rest unless it's acted upon by an external force. Water that is still in a pond, in a lake, it is stale. It is toxic. It can grow bacteria and mildew. Stagnant water serves as an ideal breeding ground for bacteria, for parasites and viruses. It also allows industrial chemicals to accumulate at really dangerous levels. But free-flowing water in a river, in a current, has a natural way to disperse all these contaminants and pesticides and oxygenate itself, making it a better water for animals and for humans to swim in, to filter and drink from. Your knowledge works the exact same way. If you stand still, if you're studying stand still, your knowledge becomes outdated. It becomes stale. It's unhelpful to you and your patients. In fact, it can become dangerous too. But if you allow your learning to keep flowing, stay curious, read, listen, ask questions, attend, presentation dinners, and grow, you become like that river. You're vibrant, you're nourishing, you're full of life. Never stop allowing knowledge, wisdom, and compassion to move through you. Now, for those of you who are thinking, this seems kind of scary, Nicole, I have to study every single day for the rest of my life. Like, I'm exhausted when the day is over, or there's too much to know. I'm going to forget everything. Which brings me to my next point. Fear is a slingshot. Fear is a slingshot. Fear is your catapult. There is no way to know every single thing about the human body. There is just no way. The human body is the best machine, the most complex machine out there in the world. There will always be challenging cases. There will always be complex cases. There will always be a case where you don't understand or it just doesn't make sense, at least at your current expertise level. And you know what? Thank goodness. Thank goodness we have fear. In the caveman days, fear would keep us surviving and not get eaten by lions and tigers. We'd be hiding in the caves. If we didn't have fear, we'd be dead by now. And so it is human nature to feel fear. It is natural. Someone once told me this, and it really resonated with me. Fear is excitement without breath. Fear is excitement without breath. Every morning to this day, when I walk into clinic, I greet my colleagues, hello, good morning. I still feel a small drop of trepidation in me. Not a lot, but I still feel it. And in my head, I'm thinking, is it going to be a smooth day? Is it going to be a tough day? Is someone going to yell at me? When I log into the EHR, there are going to be a million blinking messages for me to respond to throughout the day between patients somehow in there. I remember the day I was forced to learn about checkpoint inhibitors in cancer patients. I was so scared. It seemed so overwhelming, such an overwhelming subject. I remember I thought, I'm just a nurse practitioner. This is way beyond my knowledge. This is way beyond my capacity. But after a few weeks of studying it, I realized it's not so scary. And I have the capacity to understand this stuff and elevate my expertise. That fear is actually excitement to be challenged. Humans need to feel challenged. The daily challenge of our work is what fuels our growth and purpose. And the best part is that we don't even realize it's happening, is that we are a different version of ourselves every single day. And I'm going to prove it to you. So think of a toddler. If you have a toddler, if you have a friend with a toddler, or you don't have kids, if you've seen toddlers, what do toddlers have? They have temper tantrums, and they can cry when they don't get cookies before dinner, when they can't play with a certain toy, or when they just can't have something done their way. It's like they want Burger King. They want things done their way, right? But one day with your toddler, you hear, instead of the toddler crying, you hear this kind of weird noise in the kitchen. It's not them crying. It's like someone's moving furniture. And you walk into the kitchen, and to your surprise, it's your toddler. But instead of crying for cookies, they actually got the step stool and somehow pushed it to the cupboard where the cookies are, and they were able to reach the cookies from the shelf by themselves. And you realize they are a different version of themselves. They've now acquired the skill to understand that the cookies are on a certain shelf in the snack cupboard, and the toddler needs to be taller or higher to reach the cookies. So they need to get the stool over there by the cupboard. You are witnessing a different version of your toddler. And now that they know how to get the cookies and they solved the problem of how to acquire them, now they opened up a new problem. They have to learn how to pick up the step stool instead of pushing the step stool across the kitchen floor, so that it doesn't make as much noise that alerts mom, and mom comes running into the kitchen and seeing what's going on. And so when we solve one fear, we are a different version of ourselves, and we are a version of ourselves ready to take on the next problem we've created. And so fear is your catapult. Fear is your slingshot. Fear will always be there, but you are a different, better 2.0 version of yourself every time you solve or overcome one fear. So get excited about feeling fear, which leads me to my next point: patience. Be patient with yourself. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Genius is nothing but a greater aptitude for patience." You will wish you knew everything all the time. You will wish you didn't have to look things up. You will wish you were as smart as your colleagues, which, here's a secret, they don't know everything either. Sometimes you'll feel like a fraud. Even 8 years later, I still don't know everything. I will be the first to admit it. But you have something to your advantage. I have something to my advantage. Everyone has something to their advantage: time. Time is neutral. It is the same for everyone. Everyone has the same amount of time. No amount of money can buy you more time. Time is passing at the same speed for everyone. The time you're spending watching this YouTube video, the time you're spending listening to this podcast, that time is passing. So instead of worrying about time passing, use this given commodity you have to your advantage. Choose one small thing today that will make you at an advantage tomorrow. Maybe it's something small like going to sleep a little bit earlier so you feel more refreshed at work. Maybe it's seeing, oh, I had a patient no-show, so I have a small 10-minute pocket of time. I'm going to choose to read up on hepatitis so that the next time I have a case where a patient has a positive Hep B core antibody, but a negative Hep B surface antigen, you'll know what to do. Use every day to some minute change to your advantage. It doesn't have to be big, but that's how you can tactfully be patient and feel less pain of needing to be patient. You'll find yourself a wiser and more expert nurse practitioner. Which brings me to my next point. Do you like what I'm doing, how I'm connecting everything? My next point is Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. It is important to connect with your patients. In today's world, with the internet, people can get all the information they want online with the click of a button, with the swipe of their phone. They can instantly learn about a disease, about symptoms, about medication. They can go on, Facebook or ChatGPT at 2 a.m. and find out that someone had a bad reaction to a certain medication, and now that patient has a bad impression of the medication. They don't want to be on an antihypertensive. We are now fighting with a patient who can do this research at 2 in the morning at any time of the day. People don't want more information. They want better information. People want information that is custom to them. I had a patient recently come in for joint pain, and she did so much research. I mean, just tons of research on all the different inflammatory arthritises, but she was so overwhelmed by all the information. She didn't know how it specifically pertained to her health, to her life. It's like the woman who is recently engaged and shopping for a wedding dress. It's your wedding. It's your special day of your life. You want a dress that's not just the first one you find off the rack. You want one that is specifically suited for you. You want it to be the right material you want. You want it to fit your body type. You want it to be flattering. You want it to be stunning. You want to make you glow and look your best. Some women want their wedding dress to stun in photos. Some women want their wedding dress to have lots of flexibility and movement so that they can dance with their new husband and their friends at the party. Some women, they want to look like a beautiful princess because that's all they dreamed about since they were 4 years old and first watched Cinderella. In a world with so much information at our fingertips, patients actually want better information, how it affects them specifically. And that is why it is so important to take those 60 seconds to meaningfully connect with your patient. I promise you can do it in 60 seconds. It seems like it won't change management, but I assure you it will. It will make your patient more trusting and more receptive to you and what you have to say during the visit. And it will make your visit go so much smoother. And if this is something that you want to know more about, then I have a free guide for you. It's called Own the Patient Conversation. Click the link below in the description box to get your free copy. It will help you know how to control the patient conversation and make your visits smoother, quicker, and more effective. Which brings me to my next point. Do not equate professional expertise with your ability to teach it. Do not equate professional expertise with your ability to teach it. If you can't communicate in a way that your patients understand you, you will find yourself frustrated all the time. I had a doctor recently, a colleague of mine, she reviewed a DEXA scan, a bone density scan for a patient, which showed osteopenia, not osteoporosis, just osteopenia. And the patient had a big blank face. They had like a big question mark written on their forehead. They didn't know what was going on. And the patient said, "Tell me this in a way that someone who works on cars could understand." And the doctor laughed and she thought to herself, "You're smart enough to learn and understand this. It's not that hard." But instead, I said, "Okay, how often do you change the oil in your car?" Every 5,000, 7,500 miles, give or take, depending on your car make and model and, how old it is, right? And then at that mileage, it's time to change the oil for your car, right? So it's more efficient running. Think of your bones like your vehicle. Your bones need to be healthy and strong to run well. You're able to walk, to run, to bend over, pick up your kids and toss them in the air, make them giggle and laugh, right? Osteopenia means your bones are at less than 5,000 miles. You don't need to change the oil to refuel your car. You don't need to take a bisphosphonate right now to build up your bone density. We're good. We're just kind of in maintenance and monitor mode. We're just kind of watching it. And it was like a light bulb went off. You could see his eyes just light up. He instantly smiled and understood what osteopenia meant, and he felt immense relief. People do not like feeling dumb. It is a very frustrating feeling. I mean, think about a child who's sitting at the table at home and trying to do their math homework. And for some reason, they just cannot memorize the multiplication table. Like they look down the numbers, they see, the square grid with all the numbers, and they just feel overwhelmed. What do? They get frustrated, throw their pencil, kick the chair, they yell, they scream. For us adults, the multiplication table is easy peasy because we're older, because we've used the multiplication table. We've had years to use it every day in our lives for years, for decades, just like we've had years of medical training. So understanding osteopenia, frac score, bisphosphonates, risk of osteonecrosis is as simple as tying your shoes. But we have to remember that patients don't have all those years of medical training, of all those experience. And so the faster you can speak their language, the faster you will be understood. People live in their own realities. We may all live in the same planet, but we all live in our own realities. The tax accountant lives a life that revolves around April 15th, tax day. The firefighter lives a life that revolves around fire seasons. The teacher lives around life that revolves around back to school day or the school year. And so they have these years of experience and they understand those things fluently. That is their reality. And so, as a nurse practitioner that sees people in all aspects, all ages, all socioeconomic backgrounds, you need to be able to speak in different languages to be understood. Which brings me to my next point. It is okay to not get the Best Student Award. Healthcare companies probably won't be giving out awards for nurse practitioners who can meaningfully connect with their patients quickly. Let's be honest, let's just be real here. In a world of healthcare, everything is measured, right? How long our patient visits are, how many minutes, how many patients we see in a day, how quickly we close our notes, what procedures we administered, how many diagnoses we treated for chronic disease. Even at my own yearly evaluation, I am given a report with how many hours I'm logged into the EHR. Like everything is measured. So your work will probably be giving out superlative awards for most productive employee in the region or for the quarter or for the year. And I'll be honest, I've never received any of those awards, and I'm okay with that. And I'll tell you exactly why. Working for public accolades will not make you happy, because if you are, it means your happiness is dependent on someone else's standards. I remember back in elementary school, I wanted to be student of the month so badly, so badly. The privilege of being student of the month is you get called to the principal's office and you receive this really cool certificate with your names in like bright bold letters, even your school photo. There's a copy of your school photo taped in there, and then it comes in this, to be honest, it's cheap, but this wooden frame, which at the time I thought it was beautiful, but it was really a cheap frame. And you get to stand with the principal and hold your certificate up high and take a picture, and your picture is posted in the office for 30 days, for the entire month. And you also get a bumper sticker, of course, so you can give it to your mom or your dad for them to put on their car so they can show off that their child is student of the month. And I always got jealous of the classmate or the peer who got it. It felt like it was a public declaration that this student was the best and you are not. And every time I wasn't given that award, I felt like I wasn't recognized, I wasn't special or even valuable. But now, as an adult and reflecting back, that's not true. I had great grades. I had teachers who praised me for doing a great job on my exams. I had friends who make me feel loved and included. So having an award doesn't reflect who you are or how much joy you have in your life. Do not let a company's definition of success become your definition of success. Your success, what brings you joy, is decided by you and only you. What we do is hidden from the world. Our work, our work is hidden from the world. What we do once we enter that exam room with the patient, we close the door. It's just between us and the patient. There's no one else there. External rewards are not going to be fulfilling in this career. It's the patient in front of you that makes you smile, that gives you a high five, that laughs when you walk out of the exam room and they're going to check out and they're happy. What we do isn't sexy. We can't post about our patient visits on social media because of privacy and HIPAA. You know, we we can show the aftermath. I can take a picture of myself in the exam room, like, hey, I just saw a patient, but no one will really see what we really do. But we are on the path to true happiness because happiness is not seen on social media in a picture, in a video. Happiness is felt. Happiness is lived. Happiness is experienced. And so it's coming home and telling your family what a great day you had. It's sitting at the dinner table with your kids and looking around yourself and thinking, seeing what your career does. It's providing stability for your loved ones and infusing you with this sense of purpose. Which brings me to my next point. Being the best nurse practitioner you can be makes you the best parent you can be. A nurse practitioner, a colleague of mine, once told me that she hates that she cannot be more present with her kids. She had to miss their soccer game recently because of a meeting that ran late after a full day of patients. And I get it. The parent guilt is so real. I mean, I wake up and work early in the morning, so I cannot drop off my 5-year-old at school on certain mornings of the week. And so my husband has to do it. And so he texts me updates like he was dropped off, he didn't cry, it was great, he was happy, he was smiling, he was excited to see his classmates. But it still pains me. I still feel that guilt inside of me that I can't be there to experience it. I can't drop him off, give him a hug, say, have a good day at school. I'll see you after school. I'll pick you up. But what my son gets to experience is the best quality of me when I'm with him. Being good at what I do, being able to connect with my patients quickly and meaningfully infuses me with a sense of purpose. It makes me joyful and happy. I get to bring home that happy version of myself to my son when I go home. It makes you your best version. Think about it. If you're cranky and frustrated at work, you had a long day at work, patients were yelling at you, you just felt like you're not making a difference, not fulfilling a purpose. You're like, why am I even doing this? No one even cares. Would anyone even care if I was here? You're going to bring that cranky and frustrated self home. That's the version that your kids will see. That's the version of you that your kids will grow up witnessing. I once read this: a dysregulated adult cannot regulate a dysregulated child. I don't know about you, but it would break my heart if in 2 decades, 3 decades down the road in the future, my son, I overhear him saying to his friends, when I was growing up, all I remember is that my mom was tired and angry. She never seemed excited to play with me whenever I was around her. I want my son to grow up and visit me because he wants to visit me, not because he feels obligated to visit me, or worse, he doesn't even want to visit me. Your kids won't like you if you're not likable. Your best ability is your availability. So make the best version of you available to your children. Which brings me to my next point. How you do anything is how you do everything. Strive for a life of excellence. We only have one life. We only have one life to live. And most people would say, yeah, I only have one life. So I'm going to hurry through work so I can get to that vacation. I can get to that beach. I can get home. I can watch Netflix and just melt to the couch and just relax. Did you know that the average American only takes 18 vacation days a year? 18 days a year out of 365 days a year. That is 5%. 5% of your life. You only want to enjoy 5% of your life? Do you really want to live a life that you always want to escape from? Do you want to every day subconsciously teach yourself that life begins when vacation starts and life ends when you return to work? What if you made each day of your life a day of quality, of focusing on connecting with your patients, of creating your own impact in the world? We only get one life. I want to fill as many days as I can filled with quality. I want it filled with patients smiling and giving me a high five for helping them become healthier versions of themselves. I want it filled with moments where patients or even my physician colleagues are shocked that I know how to treat XYZ because I've been studying when no one's paying attention. I want it filled with joyful memories of my son growing up so that when he's older, he'll come visit me because he wants to. To me, that is exactly why you should live a life with a standard of excellence. Excellence is not perfection. Excellence is not a single event or a single day. It's a lifestyle and it's built upon daily good habits. Success is not built in a day, it's built in what you do each day when no one is paying attention. It's saying, I don't lower my standards to meet the world around me. I raise my standards to shape my world. So don't count the years, but make the years count. I hope this episode was helpful. I hope you found wisdom or just a little bit of um, guidance in my 8 lessons from my 8 years as a nurse practitioner. And if this was helpful, then you should definitely check out my last video, how I learned time management as a nurse practitioner if I had to start all over. As always, I am always rooting for you, and I will see you in the next episode.